Alright boys, what's going on? Welcome back. So today we're going to be finishing the story of the time that I went to Juvie. If you guys haven't seen the first part to this story, I would recommend you go check that out because we are just going to continue off from where I was in part 1. So part 1, I ended off right when the cops came to my house and arrested me and took me to Juvie. So we'll start off from there. So yeah, they came to my house and arrested me and started taking me to Juvie. And when you get taken to Juvie is basically just like jail. It's just smaller and the rules are a little bit different. I guess depending where you live, the rules might be similar to jail or they might be really different. If you're in a big city, Juvie's probably really similar to jail, but I don't live in the biggest city, so I think our Juvie was a little bit different. But basically when you get there, just like when you get to jail, they drive into this little like parking lot area, take you out, and then take you in to get booked. The booking area, at least in the Juvie in my city, is super small. It has like 10 chairs and it's just in this little like corner. Like it's not that big. I think there's like 3 or 4 holding cells and then 1 chair for like if you're going crazy, they'll literally put you in the chair. I'm sure if you guys have watched like jail videos on YouTube or TV, you see the crazy people freaking out in the chair with the bag over their head. They'll do that to you even if you're a minor, if you're acting crazy. So yeah, they take you to Juvie and they take you into the booking area and they sit you down and they keep you handcuffed and they come and ask you questions. They have you take your shoes off, this and that. If it's your first time there, they'll ask you more questions. If it's not your first time there, you don't really have to do as much. They'll take you back there a lot faster. This wasn't my first time there, but since I was being taken in for a somewhat serious charge and it was a warrant, it took a while for me to actually get back there. So after they're done talking to you and getting your information and writing stuff down, whatever it is they write down, they take your shoes and they have you walk back to the back area where they have to have you bend over and cough. Yes, even as a minor, you have to bend over and cough. So if you don't want any grown men looking at your booty hole, I would recommend you don't break any laws and you should never have to worry about that. So after you do that and they make sure you don't have anything on you or in you, and also you don't only have to squat down, you gotta like wiggle your toes and get behind your ears and brush out your hair. You gotta do a bunch of weird stuff. But after they make sure they don't have anything on you, they give you your jail uniform, Juvie uniform, whatever the situation is, and they tell you to get in the shower, take a shower, and put your clothes on. And you don't actually have to take a shower. I don't think I ever actually took a shower because that shower was always kind of nasty. So you can just turn the water on and say you took a shower. So after that entire situation, they will either take you back directly or they will wait a little bit longer. I don't know exactly what it's like in jail because in jail, I think they try to take people back in groups, but I'm not entirely sure. But after they decide to take you back, whenever that may be, they just start walking you back and they take you back. Now in jail, you get taken into a pod. Like there's pods in jail and inside of the pod are the cells. So like you have more freedom in jail than you have in Juvie. We don't have any sort of roaming freedom in Juvie like you have in jail when it comes to like the pods and stuff like that. So when you get taken into Juvie and you get taken back, the only time you will be allowed outside of your cell is when the guards will let you out. Like you're locked in your cell for most of the day. And in my experience, when I went there at the time, the Juvie wasn't very full, so it was just 1 person per cell. Like the Juvie will put 2 kids per cell, but that's only when they have to. So when I went there, literally you were alone by yourself in your own head for most of the day, and it sucked. So I don't know what the rules are in every Juvie, but my Juvie, your first like 24 hours, I think it is, you have to be in your cell for the entire 24 hours. And if you do something really bad, you get marked as like a red flag or whatever, and you could be in your cell for up to like a week before they let you out and socialize with anybody. I'm not even kidding. I think this time that I got arrested, because I did get arrested a couple times when I was younger, longer. I think I was in my cell for 48 hours because what I did was somewhat bad, but it wasn't bad enough for me to be in my cell for a week. So after you finally get through that process, they finally let you do the normal stuff that you get to do with everybody. And Juvie, like I said, is really structured. There's not a lot of freedom, and you have to do what the guards tell you to do at all times. So I'm pretty sure they would wake you up at 6:30 a.m. if I'm remembering correctly. Of course, we didn't have clocks, so I don't know 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it was 6:30 a.m. They would wake you up through the intercom, and I absolutely hated it because they would be like, "Good morning, today is blah 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 blah." Like, it was the worst. It was like having the morning announcements in school, but extra obnoxious and waking up to them. Just imagine that. And when you woke up, you had to instantly make your bed and wait for the cart to come around so you could sweep up and mop your cell. And if you didn't make your bed, they actually wouldn't let you leave your cell. Like, you literally had to make your bed and tidy up your cell, or you would have to sit in there all day. It was kind of like a boot camp in a sense. So that was pretty interesting, and it was pretty annoying, but to be honest, it wasn't the worst thing in the world because to this day I still make my bed every morning when I wake up, and that wasn't something that I ever did before I went to Juvie. I literally never made my bed, and now that I went to Juvie and went through that experience, I make my bed every morning because especially if you spend a lot of time in your room, it's just better to have a nice tidy room. It just keeps your brain flowing better. So yeah, they would wake you up around 6:30, come around with the cart, you would make your bed, tidy up your cell, and then one by one they would let you go to the showers and take a shower. Because in Juvie, obviously we're minors, so the guards can't see us take showers, and we can't take showers with each other. So that's another big difference between jail and Juvie. In jail, you're gonna be taking showers with other men. In Juvie, you get to take a shower alone, so at least that's good because it would have sucked to take a shower with a bunch of other dudes. I am happy I didn't have to experience that. Also, another big difference between Juvie and jail is jail you get commissary and you have to pay for your own stuff. So like deodorant and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure you have to get that yourself in jail, but Juvie, they just give it to you, and the deodorant that they give you sucks. It's like this jail deodorant that's in a little packet, like a packet you would get a packet of mustard at school or something, like this little packet that you would open up, and it sucked. It didn't smell good. It would like leak down your arm if you actually did sweat because it was like this gel stuff. It was probably the worst deodorant I have ever used in my entire life. And the water came straight out of your sink that you like brushed your teeth with and everything. You just got your water straight out of that, and it tasted like straight up iron. I don't know what was wrong with the water, but it tasted like shit, and that's all you got to drink in there was that water. You didn't get to drink anything else. So after we would do all that, then we would go to breakfast, and for the most part, the only thing we usually got for breakfast was just some oatmeal and then like a banana or an apple or something. Every once in a while they would switch it up, and it would actually be pretty good. I liked the food in Juvie, but I think I'm just a weirdo, and I actually loved the oatmeal. It was like this mushy brown oatmeal. I don't know why, but it was some of the best stuff I've ever put in my mouth. I would literally eat that to this day. I don't know how they made it or what they put in it, but I loved the oatmeal. I literally would go for seconds every single morning of oatmeal. Because another difference between Juvie and jail, in jail you just get your one single plate of food. You don't get seconds, but in Juvie you get to eat as much as you want as long as other people also get their chance to eat seconds or thirds. I've gotten like 4 servings of food before in Juvie. Like, I would eat as much as I could whenever I was there, but in jail you don't get that. You get your one tray of food when they give it to you, and even then you have to make sure someone doesn't take that from you. So that's a pretty big difference between Juvie and jail. So after you eat, you would do like a small little tiny workout, which was always funny to me because so many people in there were so unathletic that they couldn't even do some of the simplest things, and it just kind of blew my mind. But after that, if it's a weekday and during school time, you literally still have to go to school. You're not in school for like 6 hours like most kids are. I'm pretty sure it's only like 2.5, 3 hours worth of school. It's like 3 classes, and it's super easy to do school in there. It's basically nothing. You can get your high school diploma in Juvie, and it'll be the easiest high school diploma of all time because you don't have to do anything in there. And then like at some point midway through school, we have like a 20-minute break where we get to play like basketball or play cards or like work out. I usually worked out during that break, and then we would go eat lunch. And again, the lunches were pretty good. I always really enjoyed lunch. The lunches were actually made by the people that went to the jail, which was always really interesting. Like it was literally made by the inmates in jail. I know in jail, if you're making the juvie kids food and you mess with it in some sort of way and someone finds out that you're messing with the kids food, they're not gonna like that. So all the food was always really good. No one ever did anything weird to it, and if anything, I feel like they cooked it better than if a guard would have cooked it or something like that, because I was smacking the food down. I don't know if I'm just weird again, but I loved basically everything that they gave us. I think there was like one thing that I like almost couldn't eat, and that was the hot dogs. I don't know what the fuck they put in those hot dogs, but they were fucking disgusting. Like they actually made me want to throw up every time I ate them. But other than that, everything that they gave us, I loved. So after we ate, we would go back to our cell for like 30 minutes to let us chill out, and then we would go back to school for like an hour, 45 minutes, something like that. And then after that, for the most part, your day is done. They'll send you back up to your cell, and they might take you out of your cell one more time to do like a group activity, because they did a decent amount of group activities. They definitely did a lot better at the whole rehabilitation thing in juvie than they do in jail. Jail, you're literally just sitting in your pod all day and arguing and fighting with the other people, and everyone segregates themselves. If you're white, you have to hang out and talk to the white people. If you're black, you gotta hang out and talk to the black people. If you're white, you better not be caught eating lunch at the black table, or all the white people are gonna beat you up. Like, jail is super segregated, and they don't do a very good job at actually rehabilitating the people. Really, they just have them sit there and do nothing, and then you would just wake up and do it all again. And that was your day every single day when you're in juvie. And on the weekends, you don't have school, and during the summer, you also don't have school. And honestly, when you don't have school, your days are even more boring, to be honest. One interesting thing about me going to juvie is I actually was locked up with a school shooter. Yes, a real life Eugene. I met him, I talked to him. He even knew my name, which was kind of uncomfortable if you ask me. If you guys want to look it up, I'm not going to talk too much about it because it's going to get my video demonetized, but it was the Freeman High School shooting. Happened in like 2015, 2016, something like that. I was still in school at the time. The reason he was locked up in my city was because where he did it was like 30 minutes out from where I lived, but it was like this small, like rich area, and they didn't have a juvie out there because nobody breaks laws out there. It was like kind of crazy for it to have happened, especially where it happened. It was super insane. The kid's name is Caleb Sharp, so if you want to look it up, Caleb Sharp, Freeman High School shooting. It's a real thing, and I met him. I was locked up with him, and I was in there with him for a decent amount of time. And if you guys want to know about him, I have a video in my stories playlist about him. That video I made like over a year ago, so the commentary won't be as good as it is now, just because I've gotten a lot better at it over time. But I did talk about him in an entire video. But really quickly, I do just want to say one thing. He is absolutely insane. Should not ever be let out of jail, prison, whatever the fuck. He needs to stay in there for the rest of his life. I met him personally. I've been locked up with him, and I can tell you, he is not a functional member of society whatsoever. He's a fucking freak. So now let's talk a little bit of how I actually managed to get out of juvie. So like I said in the last video, my charge was an assault 2 charge, and an assault 2 charge is described as assault with serious bodily harm, and that's basically what happened. So while I was waiting to actually go on trial, I was talking to my public defender, my lawyer, the one that they gave me. I didn't have a personal lawyer, I'm not rich or anything like that. I was talking to him, this and that, but really what we were waiting on, the reason I was sitting in there and waiting for trial to happen and waiting for them to give me a plea deal or to go to trial, was we were waiting for the medical records to come back from the person that I got in a fight with, and that took a good couple weeks. I was only in juvie for like a month, maybe a month and a week or something like that, and all we were waiting on was the medical records, because if the medical records records would have came back, and if he had a broken rib, they would have actually given me the maximum punishment for a juvenile with that charge, and that would have been 4 to 9 months. So that's what we were basically waiting on. It was a 50-50 deal, whether or not the medical records were going to come back with or without a broken rib. So really all I had to do was kick the dude a little bit harder, and my life would have been changed completely, because within those 4 to 9 months that I wasn't locked up, I actually started doing YouTube and changing my life in a lot of ways that I wouldn't have been able to do if I got locked up for that time. So who knows, if I would have been locked up for those 4 to 9 months, it's possible that I would have never been here, because I would have been doing time, and who knows what would have happened when I got out. Maybe I would have never changed my ways. But I ended up getting lucky, and the medical records came back and the ribs were just bruised. They were not broken, which means I got an opportunity to take a plea deal and actually get time served and get out on an ankle monitor. And time served is essentially them saying that you've already served your time waiting for the trial to happen, and they let me go out on an ankle monitor. And I was still on an ankle monitor for a good couple of months, and that was pretty bad. And then even once I got off the ankle monitor, I was on probation until I turned 18. So I didn't even really get to enjoy my last 8 months of being a teenager before I was a grown-up, which was unfortunate, but I guess that's what I get for being stupid. And truth be told, I got lucky. I got caught up for one thing that I did. If I would have gotten arrested for everything that I've done over my time, I would have been locked up for a lot longer, if I'm being completely honest. So I got lucky. I got locked up for one thing. I learned my lesson and I got out of that situation. And to an extent, I still deal with the repercussions of my actions to this day. I live in a city where our murder rate is way too high for the amount of people that live in the city, and I can't legally own a weapon because I have a felony. But yeah, one more thing before I end this video. Similar to jail, Juvie is like a holding ground for a lot of the bad people before you get sent to juvenile prison, just like a jail is kind of like a holding ground for people before they get sent to prison. Obviously, not every kid that comes through juvenile is going to go to juvenile prison, and not every person that comes through jail is going to go to prison. But if you do something really bad, they will send you to juvenile prison, and that's actually what they were trying to do to me. So not only were they trying to give me 4 to 9 months, they were trying to give me 4 to 9 months in Green Hills, which is like the worst juvenile prison in the state of Washington. That is where they sent all the killers, burglars, everything that you could have possibly think about being bad. That's where they send them. So they were trying to do me dirty. They were treating me like I was a menace to society, and I don't really understand why. But anyways, I ended up getting out of it and not doing as much time as they were trying to give me, and here I am to this day, now just talking my shit behind the mic. But with that being said, this is actually where I'm going to end the video. Another super long story, so for anyone who managed to make it to the end, I appreciate you a lot. No joke, this is a huge boost for my channel when you guys watch these really long videos all the way through. Going to shout out the members super quick, and I'm gonna get out of here. OMG, it's Birdman Archive, that archive guy, Emmanuel, Crazy Eyes, Charles Ware, and Quincy J. As usual, you guys already know I appreciate you more than anything, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.